Today on Locked On Rockies, the return of Germán Márquez could be a total game changer for the Colorado Rockies. Or it could be another situation where we say, where do we go from here?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the second day of January in the year 2025. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies right over there. Best way, if you want to interact with the show, the best way to do so is by getting into the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. We read the comments here on the show all the time. Great way to interact because I want to know what's on your mind, Rockies fans. I want to know what's going through your brains when it comes to the Colorado Rockies and what you are thinking will help them get to the top eventually one day. Won't happen probably this year, but a key guy that can help the Rockies get there is Germán Márquez. He's the big topic of our show today. We're going to dive into all sorts of little storylines and nuggets there that I think will help set the stage for how big of a deal 2025 is for Germán Márquez and lots more. So remember, folks, that this is your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. And of course, that Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, shouting out all of you for making us your first listen of the day. And a reminder there before we dive into everything that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right. So Germán Márquez is under contract here through this season. He will become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. This sets the stage for a fascinating spot for Germán Márquez, because I can see the Rockies committing to Germán Márquez if we're going to see the signs of Germán Márquez of the past, especially because of how this would fall rank and file with what the Rockies do. Abundantly loyal, really. And again, you got Bud Black's guy, one of Bud Black's guys, Germán Márquez, on this rotation. He could also become an interesting trade piece at the trade deadline. He's going to set some records, or I believe got close to setting some records through his brief appearances over the last 2 seasons. But it's interesting because it's really, I don't know where the Rockies will go here. My gut tells me the Rockies will extend Germán Márquez kind of no matter how the season goes. That was a terrible phrasing of that sentence. I'm sorry. Just because it would make the most sense for a Rockies move, right? It just seems like what the Rockies would do. However, what if Chase Dollander is ready and ready to go by July? I think he, especially mixed with some of these other youngsters, young arms, Gabriel Hughes was mentioned there, and some others. Senza and Germán Márquez could be the ones that are eyed to be replaced, because I don't think Kyle Freeland's going to go anywhere. I don't think the Rockies are, when you're the Rockies and you're looking for a guy that you can kind of just turn to, as in my eyes, Kyle Freeland is the Charlie Blackmon of this team right now. Like he is. It makes the most sense that he's the guy that is taking over that key veteran role on the team. Colorado native. He's been pitching with the Rockies his entire career since 2017. 8 years with the club. I know it's not it's not Charlie Blackmon. It's not Todd Helton. But when we're talking about longevity here, when we're talking about guys that kind of embody everything we're going for, Kyle Freeland makes a lot of sense in that. Ryan McMahon too, but I feel like Kyle is a little bit more of that kind of can be a little bit more vocal in that. But I think both of those guys are probably going to share that role because both 8 years on the team. So I don't think the Rockies would do anything with Kyle Freeland. But Germán, on an expiring contract, if he comes out pitching the way that he has shown that he has, that is going to raise eyebrows for the Rockies, and there will be a lot of teams interested, but hesitant, because the big thing here, and let's just zoom in on success of the Rockies here, because as much as I love Germán Márquez, and I'm a fan, I think a healthy Germán Márquez, if the Rockies had Germán Márquez over the last 2 seasons, is he an all-star again? Is he a Cy Young? Probably not. But the Rockies are winning more ball games because of it. He is a guy that when he is on the field and when he pitches for the Rockies are in one of the best positions to win the game from the pitching standpoint. And I don't say this with no numbers to back me up here. When Germán Márquez pitches a full season, when he's pitched a full season, he has never finished a season with negative WAR. He's always finished at least 1 wins above replacement. And he's also always been someone that's going to rank in the higher end of Rockies pitchers. And when you compare some of his seasons to just some of the competition, including on the Rockies, you'll see that his last healthy season would still have been the 3rd best pitching performance for the Rockies this year, while being one of Germán Márquez's worst and his worst as a consistent starter for the Colorado Rockies in that season. And if you take 2020 out of the equation there, it's the first time Germán Márquez since becoming a regular starter had finished with under a 2 WAR, under a WAR of 2.4 to be specific. And I know that in those seasons and in that stuff, batting definitely will play a little influence here, but I don't think it's going to influence pitcher WAR all too much there on Baseball Reference. So yes, his last full healthy season was a downer by Germán's standards, and then the health, but lo and behold, we found that he wasn't healthy, or the fatigue was starting to set in, which then led to the tough start to 2023. And now the loss of Germán for the last 2 seasons now. Germán Márquez's 1.3 WAR last year would have been second to behind Austin Gomber and Cal Quantrill. He was better as a pitcher last year than Kyle Freeland, Dakota Hudson, Ty Block, and I'm trying to think, look, better than Peter Lambert, better than Anthony Molina, better than Jake Bird, better than Tanner Gordon. There's no pitcher that the Rockies started last year that would have finished better than Germán Márquez's worst season as a starter. So again, I can't emphasize it enough because I've talked about this a ton on the show. It's how big of a deal it is for the Rockies to go into this season with Germán and with Senza hopefully healthy, and all reports are pointing to them being healthy and good to go and everything going there. Where would Germán Márquez and actually, before we move on from that, let's just stick with Germán's worst statistical season of there and compare it to pitchers and across the division and where Germán would have ranked. Germán Márquez's 1.3 WAR would have made him the 3rd best pitcher on the Arizona Diamondbacks last season. The 1.3 WAR would have made him the 4th best pitcher on the Dodgers, and I'm talking starters, by the way, just to put that there. He would have been the 4th best starter in terms of WAR if you're going in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. For the Padres, he would dip to 5. He would be outside. He'd be 6th in that rotation. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he would be 5th ranked on the Padres in the Padres rotation last year. And on the Giants, he would be the 3rd best pitcher by terms of WAR in last year on the Giants. So again, it wasn't a great season, but when you look at the ups and downs and you look at the fact that Germán's worst season would still have him be in the middle of the pack of a couple of division rivals and be one of the better performances for the Colorado Rockies is pretty insane. is wild. But the hope is, and the big worry and the big question mark, though, will be, what version of Germán Márquez are we going to see? Are we going to see the good version? What is there anything that we can expect after Germán has been gone for so long and recovering from some serious injuries, mixed in with the fact that he's kind of a historically slow starter? What version of Germán Márquez will we see? Let's dive into that and continue the conversation about Germán Márquez going here in segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. I love going to live events. You love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. All of the memories you can make when you go out for a night on the town, seeing your favorite band, seeing your favorite team, the energy and excitement is unforgettable. Now, Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. When you look through the app, you can see all sorts of, it's not just sports, it's concerts, it's comedy, it's everything that's in town you can get tickets for, and you can get great deals. They even got these deals up to the last possible second and even a little bit after kickoff and more. I've saved a lot of time and a lot of money while using Gametime. They got the all-in pricing feature that you can toggle up front, so you know exactly what you're paying up front, and you're going to get a view from your seat, so you're going to know where you're sitting. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show by firing off your Rockies hot takes and letting me know what's on your mind, just like Matthew Garcia. Or no, we read that one yesterday. Just like Jim, who says success for the Colorado Rockies to me is better batting and pitching. Also 12 to 15 more wins, which may sound like a lot versus last season. That more players have more breakout seasons as Tovar and Doyle did, and Chris Bryant stays healthy. If these things happen, I see a big difference in this team. This is my hope, but who knows? And that's where we're at right now, right? I mean, it is. We hope for these things to happen. We want these things to happen. History has shown or proven usually that those things usually don't happen. But what are we to do? Sit here and just completely just wallow? No, that's and that's the whole spirit of this episode, because the version of because the storyline for Germán Márquez usually is a slow start that builds into a great finish, and as it gets warmer and as he gets more warm and more in the rhythm of things, he gets better as the season goes on. But if you're only operating with only half of a season of Germán Márquez, if that is in fact the in the mindset of the Rockies, are we going to get the best version of Germán to help the Rockies? And folks, again, we talked about his worst season. Germán Márquez averages finishing above 2 WAR in his career, has finished above 2 WAR twice at 3.5 and 4.1. During those times, when in 2018, he had 230 strikeouts. He had 150 strikeouts in 2022, 176 strikeouts during his all-star season, over 180 pitches, or over 180 pitches, over 180 innings last year. That would Kyle Freeland, Dakota Hudson, Ty Block all finished with under 100 strikeouts last year. Germán Márquez's 150 strikeouts would have been the most on the Rockies last year. So we can't understate how important and how significant he will be. Mixed with 2 years off, though, there is some hesitations where he is at the top of the list of most interesting people to watch and how spring will go for him as well. It's just going to be how healthy does he feel? How are his mechanics doing? How is he feeling? What is his velocity looking like at this stage? Where is he at? And where is his pitching? Has his philosophy changed at all? Because that's the only big. There's no doubt in my mind that Germán Márquez is a great pitcher. I'm not afraid to say great, because this is a guy that has shown that he can be great, a guy that can be totally game changing, and usually is a rare example of when he's on the bump, you feel more confident that the Rockies can win the game with him on the bump. And how often could you have said that over the last 3 seasons? And that, even that includes Germán's down year. I get that. But it's just still that context of Germán's worst year is still isn't as bad as it has been for the Rockies and has been for other teams. The talent is there. The skill is there. The ability, and the Rockies know this, right? There's no reason for them to believe that Germán Márquez can't be their ace still. But he turns 30 this year, unrestricted free agent, recovering from that injury. Slow starts. So it is a very complicated spot to be for the Rockies. Because at this point, and let me be clear, I think he will be successful. I think Germán Márquez is going to be a good pitcher for the Rockies and start and be a contributor to the team. I'm not going to sit here and go overboard and be like, he's going to crush it, he's going to nail it, he's going to be incredible. No, I think he is going to enter the season and he is going to be a reason why the Rockies win ball games. He is going to be a reason why the Rockies don't get off to a franchise and baseball history worst start. His return is going to be enough that it's going to change at least the rotation enough. That again, I'm not saying it's changing everything. I just think it puts the Rockies entering the season with this rotation are going to be entering the season with the best pitching rotation in at least 3 years that they've had. At least 2, if you want to focus just on the last 2. When you watch him pitch, he's the guy that can kind of just, he's the guy that shows you that he puts you in the position that it feels like the other teams have with going against the Rockies, striking batters out, dominating them, just, interesting stuff and able to work efficiently as well. I do think that there will be the question marks and hesitations going into this season, but I am banking on the player who has been successful for most of his career to be successful. I think that the one thing that you can say with this rotation and with these guys is like, and with this front office and coaching staff is, this is a group that has worked a ton together, that knows each other a lot. Like this is something where I know Bud Black knows Germán Márquez, right? I know that their relationship and I think that the people that benefit the most from Bud Black's return to the Rockies this season is the starting rotation, because 3 out of 5 are Buddy's guys mixed in with Austin Gomber, who's been Buddy, and whoever ends up being that 4 or 5, also guys that their whole tenure has been with Bud Black. And yes, you say what you will about what that means for them, but I'm just saying it. We know Bud Black has had success with Freeland, Senza, and Marquez. There's no reason for me to doubt that they can't do it again and make the adjustments they need to, as all of these pitchers are in different stages of their careers. Bud Black and the other pitchers, like I can see more of the hesitancy there, but I do think that will benefit. Bud Black is going to know and be able to recognize what he's been through enough seasons with Germán to know what should we be looking for in spring? What should we be looking to address? How can we be setting Germán up to be the most successful version of himself? That I do believe is going to be a key part of not only Bud Black's job, but it's going to be, I think, where you can have a little confidence in. There's a lot of work that has been put in with those three guys and this manager, and those three guys are key to starting the season off strong and setting the stage, at least for not worst season ever, but setting the course to getting the Rockies on the right path and the right direction. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. FanDuel has got you covered for the final weekend of the regular season for the NFL action. It's not too late to get in on that regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets. Yes, that's $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. You can bet on players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, over, unders, prop bets, parlays, everything available to you on the safe and secure and easy-to-use FanDuel app. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250. Yes, $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins at FanDuel.com. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And please play responsibly. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you daily Colorado Rockies talk right here to the Locked On Podcast Network and to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show, free and streaming. Of course, for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB with our guy Sully. And of course, we got you covered with all things Colorado sports. Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs, of course. All right, folks, we have been talking about Germán Márquez, and again, I do think he is one of the most important members of the Colorado Rockies last year. Another thing that's important of this next year, another thing that I didn't really talk about that has been very important during the healthy times of Germán Márquez: 181 innings pitched, 180 innings pitched, 174 innings pitched, 196 innings pitched, 162 innings pitched. Workhorse. The guy is a workhorse and is someone that is key for the Rockies there. Now, I've been talking a lot about just Germán, and then I finished segment number 2 talking about the significance of the relationship of Bud Black and with Antonio Senzatella, Kyle Freeland, and Germán Márquez. It plain and simple, it can't just be Germán next year. All of the Rockies pitching staff needs to step up, and it goes into the bullpen as well. The issues with the offense are still the most glaring and my biggest concern, of course, because the cracking the code of pitching at Coors Field still continues to be a problem. But at the same time, this is a season in which the Rockies need to be able to rely on the guys that they have put the confidence and put their faith behind. This is a year where Rockies vets need to show up, plain and simple. And it goes for the pitching staff, especially those three guys. I mean, they will set the tone. Germán Márquez's opening day start, which I do believe he will probably be the opening day starter, is going to set the tone. And again, I'm a big Kyle Freeland guy. I love Kyle Freeland, but look at how opening day started last year. And did that not set the tone for the entire season last year? And even by saying this, I'm not saying that these guys all need to be all-stars and they need to be, the Rockies need to be 85 wins at least, or else it's all a failure. No, I just want these guys to kind of play up to the Rockies' expectations. The Rockies signed Ryan McMahon, Kyle Freeland, Germán Márquez, Antonio Senzatella, and throw Chris Bryant in there. 2 extensions or big money contracts to be the impact players, to be the performers. These Rockies veterans can't just be outshined by the young guys next year. These Rockies veterans can't just fade off into the sunset or whatever, because that's the Rockies will struggle mightily. As much as the Rockies need to focus on the youth movement, and as much as they need to get the young guys playing time, those 5 Rockies veterans need to be the ones that set the tone in the locker room and set the tone on the field. Be the players that we know. I mean, again, it's a mixed bag for Senza and what versions of Germán and Kyle Freeland will we get this year? Is there both another year older, both with dealing with injuries and such and stuff like that. But it's Ryan McMahon too. It's those guys have to be the ones that are setting the example for the young guys to live up to. And the young guys need to keep trying to outshine those guys, not in a healthy competitive way, not in an ego filled way. Because when you can get that, when you can kind of start, if we can get the Rockies ball players playing the best versions of themselves, then we're going to be better on the field. But baseball is so difficult. There's so many factors. There's so many elements that's just wishful thinking. It's not going to go well for all of those players next year. Statistically, that's impossible. But it still doesn't change or take away from the fact of us as Rockies fans and the Rockies as an organization are putting confidence, are putting faith, are putting money behind these players. And it's time for them to step up to the occasion, to be the players that we know that they have shown flashes of and possibilities of, but be those players for a full 162, a full season. We need a full season of good baseball from the Rockies veteran core, or else the Rockies are going to be on the same trajectory that they were last year, the same path, and we're going to finish another season sitting here saying, well, is this going to pan out? Is this guy going to be, what about this player? Can we, if they just do this, if they just do that, like we just spent this whole time, right? This whole episode doing, things will be better. The Rockies will get there. This is such a prove it season for so many elements of the Rockies in the front office, on the field, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. Because I again, on paper and performance wise, this Rockies team is going to struggle. But if the players, especially the Rockies veterans, can unlock better versions of themselves, can unlock the best versions of themselves in this season, it's going to change the game a little bit for them. But at the same time, we have to sit here and all of the hope, all of the confidence and all of the things that all the wishful thinking that we can have here for the Rockies, it has to be demonstrated on the field for it to not just be wishful thinking, if that makes sense. All right, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Are you confident in Germán Márquez and the Rockies? What do you think Germán Márquez will do this season? And do you think he will finish the season with the Colorado Rockies? Let me know in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB with our guy Sully. And if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.